Hey yo everyone! With the recent renaissance in handheld gaming, it feels as if portable consoles are back in the mainstream, and I couldn't be more excited. The Nintendo Switch is one of my all-time favorite consoles, based sheerly on its portability and intuitiveness. I suppose having a great library of hits also doesn't hurt, but I digress. With all of the success of the Switch and the Steam Deck and kind of the PlayStation Portal, it makes sense that console manufacturers are eyeing up a way to get their slice of the handheld pie. So today, I want to talk about the current state of handheld gaming and where the future is possibly taking us. As always, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Alright, let's get it. Alrighty, so let's go over a quick history lesson first. Handheld gaming has always been a part of the video game industry. From the original Game Boy to the PSP, handheld devices were not only convenient, but also super popular. From the early 90s to the early 2010s, the handheld gaming scene enjoyed a plethora of different games and devices. However, when smartphones began to pick up momentum, the handheld gaming market began to dissipate as more people switched over to gaming apps on their phones. For a while there, it looked as if the mobile console era was coming to a close, and gaming apps would be all that was left for the casual handheld market. Sure, the 3DS was popular and had some great games, but it wasn't nearly as successful as its predecessors and certainly couldn't keep up with the likes of an iPhone. Then came along the Switch. Back Nintendo into a corner, and you're likely to get one of the greatest selling consoles of all time. Combining traditional home console games with handheld portability launched the hybrid unit into the mainstream. For the first time, really ever, fans could play Skyrim on the go or Pokemon on the big screen. The Switch's success not only saved Nintendo, but also revitalized the handheld gaming market. Since then, we've seen a major jump in technology and devices. The Steam Deck, the Asus ROG Ally, the PlayStation Portal, all of these consoles are now jumping in or back to the handheld gaming scene after seeing that the market still existed after all. So with all that being said, let's talk about what's next. I already made a video about everything we know about the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be called, so I'm mostly going to be focused on PlayStation and Xbox here. Let's start with PlayStation first. Last year, Sony unveiled the PlayStation Portal. Unlike the OG PlayStation Portable, the Portal doesn't run games natively. Instead, it streams games from your home PS5. Essentially, the Portal is a DualSense controller with a big screen on it. If you want to play a game, you have to be connected to your home Wi-Fi with the PS5 on. From there, you can stream whatever games you have installed on your console. Just recently though, Sony did make some improvements by adding in a cloud streaming option, so yeah, that's a slight improvement, at least. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I love the idea of Sony returning to the handheld gaming scene, especially with their new controller tech, but I hate the fact that you can only stream games. Maybe it's just because I grew up with some absolutely garbage internet, but I just don't have that much faith in cloud gaming quite yet. It's a solid idea, but maybe just a few years too early. Then last week, there were reports from Bloomberg that Sony is looking to make a fully realized portable console again, with the intention of expanding their PS5 audience and competing with Nintendo on their current chokehold of the market. It sounds as if they almost want to make a hybrid console of their own that can play PS5 games on the go. Even though the handheld is rumored to be years away, this is pretty exciting news. PlayStation already has experience in handheld gaming, with the original PSP still being one of the most beloved consoles ever. If Sony can find a way to bring their modern exclusives to a handheld market, then they have a legit shot at taking some of Nintendo's audience. I'm not sure how likely that will be, considering the PS5 is already a massive console as it is, but I have hope that the smart people over at PlayStation can find a way to compress it into something smaller. It might have to be something of a combination of the Switch and current PlayStation Portal. Like, maybe it can run some games natively, but for the behemoths like a Spider-Man 2 or something, it might have to just rely on cloud streaming. I don't know, I'm curious to hear what you guys think of a console like that. Obviously, there will likely have to be graphical trade-offs, but if the next PSP can play PS5 games with a relatively smooth performance, I think there will be a real audience for that. And who knows, maybe in a few years' time, the technology will have improved to a point where PS5 games can fit on a handheld device. I just hope that if Sony does decide to move forward with this, that they don't just abandon the console like they essentially have with the Vita and, most recently, PSVR 2. Now on the Xbox side, I think things are a bit more interesting, especially if the most recent rumors are true. It's gotta be one of the industry's worst kept secrets that Phil Spencer wants Xbox in the handheld race. For the first time though, it seems as if Microsoft is now officially exploring the idea of a handheld Xbox device. From the early reports we've gotten, it appears as if the device would be more like the Steam Deck than it would the PlayStation Portal or Nintendo Switch. It will likely have some native features, but would rely more heavily on cloud streaming. That makes sense with Xbox's recent rebranding campaign where everything in the kitchen sink is essentially an Xbox. But honestly, having a dedicated device with Microsoft servers would be pretty incredible. The handheld console is still apparently years out, so I'm hoping by then that cloud gaming will have improved even more. I mean, Game Pass on a handheld device sounds like a dream come true. But the part that really stood out to me was the third-party support. Phil Spencer stated that he has hopes that third-party PC stores, such as an Epic Games or Steam, would be able to make their way over to Xbox hardware, including their handheld. If that's the case, then this would make Xbox's handheld device one of the best platforms in maybe all of gaming. A portable device with access to Game Pass, Steam, and cloud gaming. Not only would you be able to play the hundreds of games on Game Pass, but you'd also be able to access some of PlayStation's exclusives that they've ported over to Steam. I've seen some people say that maybe Sony would find a way to block that from happening, but I just don't really know how that's possible if the Xbox handheld is basically just a mobile PC with access to Steam. I know that this is a pipe dream, but if Microsoft can somehow manage to do all of that and make it capable of at least running some games natively, Xbox can make a major splash into the handheld market, especially if they continue the pattern of making their hardware cheap relative to the manufacturing costs. If this is truly the case, then it seems as if Xbox is not only looking to compete with Nintendo, but the entire gaming industry. They'd be going head to head with the Switch, the Steam Deck, iPhone, and whatever else Sony is cooking up. For the past 10 years or so, Xbox has been left in the dust when it comes to console sales, but if they manage to pull off this handheld device, coupled with their streaming capabilities and Game Pass, they might actually find a way to truly compete with PlayStation again. If I'm Phil Spencer, I'm working to fast track this as soon as humanly possible to try and get a leg up on PlayStation. This is their chance to truly compete with Sony for the first time since the Xbox 360 era. So I guess the whole point of this video is to emphasize just how enormous the handheld gaming market is. Well, I should say the hybrid gaming market. People want to be able to play AAA games on the go and are seemingly willing to accept compromises in graphics and performance as long as it's not too much of a trade-off. Nintendo clearly is the driving force in this field, but with recent improvements in streaming technology, Xbox and PlayStation are not far behind. I'll admit though, it is a bit disappointing to hear that both Xbox and Sony's handheld devices are still years away. With how long the Switch has been dominating the market, you'd think they would have already begun development on this years ago. Instead, it looks as if the Switch 2 will have a clear runway to dominate the market again without any real competition for the foreseeable future. Now, I know I just made a pretty long argument about why traditional handheld consoles are making a comeback, but don't be mistaken. Mobile gaming is still leaning towards smartphones. Besides the treasure trove of games built specifically for phones, the AAA market is beginning to find its way into the App Store. Whether or not it will be able to sustain itself or even compete with regular home consoles is still to be seen, but it's clear that the future of the console wars is as diluted as ever. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you interested in a PlayStation or Xbox handheld? Which one, with what little information we currently have on them, sounds more interesting to you? Personally, I'm more interested in the Xbox One, especially if they're able to run games natively. Ooh, and what handhelds are you rocking currently? The Portal, Steam Deck, or just the Switch? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It means a lot. I appreciate you guys as always, and I will catch you in the next one.